Okay, so as I mentioned yesterday, the dose of a drug is the amount taken by the patient for the medicinal effect to happen. So this happens, or this is a thing with all types of, drugs, pharmaceuticals. Could just be paracetamol. So we would say here Panadol, ibuprofen could be, adults take 1 to 2 pills every 12 hours. That's a dose. And as I mentioned, doses could be a single, like it depends on kind of how your prescription is written or the information on the bottle. For example, a bottle of pills, it might mention single doses, daily doses, twice daily doses, total doses. We can divide doses into, well, a term called divided doses. And as I mentioned yesterday, this depends on so many things. Now, luckily, we don't have to get into that in chemistry or in math because it's not chemistry, it's not biology. So we don't need to worry about too much of this information, which is good because it's not math. So you don't need to study this. This would be something you would probably learn in another course, but it is good to know that why are these numbers different for different medications or different people? Well, it could be the chemical properties and could be the route of administration. So liquids tend to react or interact faster than, say, solids. And then, of course, there's patient factors. So how old they are, how much they weigh, do they have any other health issues? You wouldn't give some medication to somebody. Again, I'm not a pharmacist technician, but you wouldn't give some medication to people who have heart disease or to people who are pregnant, for example. So these are all things that we look at, or you guys would look at when you're considering a dose. Now, for me, as a math person, I'm only looking at the numbers, the magnitude of the dose. So for liquid doses that are typically, household measures, so something you would do at home, you could use a tablespoon or a teaspoon. Anybody who bakes or cooks should be familiar with these two measurements. If you look at any recipe online, you will see a tablespoon and a teaspoon. These come from really, I think, old terms. I don't actually, I'm not sure where they originate, but these have been used in recipe books for the last 100 years, probably or more. A tablespoon is a bigger value. It's 15 milliliters. And a teaspoon is smaller, it's 5 milliliters. So this will obviously be given to you if you need it. Again, anybody in here who likes to bake or cook, you would have seen this in any recipe basically. As long as it's not like how to cook a chicken breast or something. If it's making a sauce or making cookies, you'll see these measurements. Although I will say a lot of modern, like you guys know that this is something that I'm interested in. A lot of modern websites or books use grams. They'll weigh things like water or flour or salt. So there's a couple of cookbooks I have or websites I visit that use grams, which I appreciate. I really like because in my kitchen, kind of like the chemistry lab, I have a set of little kitchen scales. Anyways, so proportions can be used to solve problems with dosages. That's a hard word to say. The ratio of one dose we can make equal to the total amount of doses for the total amount of chemical. So, well, I'll talk about this ratio in a minute. We're going to do some practice here, but the idea is we can set these ratios equal. One dose is equal to one dose amount. So, what is one dose? What a weird word dose is. But what do you take once a day, for example? So, is it one pill? Is it one tablespoon? You know, is it a liquid? And then you set that ratio equal to the total doses. So how many times are you going to take this pill or liquid? You know, is it going to be 7 times, you know, once a day for 7 days? And then you divide it by, or it's over the total amount of doses. You guys will see, don't worry. Sorry, not the amount of doses, but the total amount of chemical. Okay, you'll see it's pretty straightforward. So it's the ratio is 1 dose over the amount of the dose, you know, how many grams or milliliters, is equal to your total doses over the total amount of chemical in grams or milliliters typically. It sounds more complicated than it is, don't worry, you'll see it. Okay. So example number 7. Oh, and there's a very important note here that somebody reminded me of yesterday, which saved me from completely messing up a question. Make sure that the same units are in the numerator, which is the top, and the same units are in the denominator, which is the bottom. Okay, so be very careful. I made that mistake yesterday. Okay, so example number 7. I'm going to give you guys some time today to do some of these, by the way. So example number 7 says, if the, what does it say? If the dose of a drug is 200 milligrams, how many doses are in 10 grams? So this one's pretty easy. Well, kind of. If the dose of a drug is 200 milligrams, how many doses are in 10 grams? Okay. So first things first. 1 dose is equal to 200 milligrams. Okay, there's actually a few ways to kind of think about this one, or a few ways to do this one. The problem with this is I have milligrams and I'm trying to find out how much is in 10 grams. So the first thing I need to do is convert my milligrams to grams. Okay, that's, you know, very, very important part. Oops, sorry about that. Very, very important thing I'm going to do. So just hold on 1 second, guys. Okay, sorry. So first thing I want to like, okay, so I have milligrams. There's a few things I can do. I can convert milligrams to grams, or I can convert grams to milligrams. It's kind of up to you how you want to do this. I'm going to leave this because it is a ratio that I have. I know that 1 dose is equal to 200 milligrams. So I want to leave that. And it's asking me how many doses are in 10 grams. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change 10 grams to milligrams. Remember, up here, to use proportions, we need to have the same units in the numerator and the same units in the denominator. So I'm going to multiply this by 1,000 milligrams over 1 gram. That's our conversion factor. And I'm going to get 10,000 milligrams. Okay, almost done. Now what I want to do is I know that 1 dose, so this would be like, let me pick a different color here. What color do I want? Well, I've been picking blue, so you know, this would be part 1, this would be part 2. So 1 dose is equivalent to 200 milligrams. I want to find out how many doses are in 10,000 milligrams. And that's it. I solve for X. So you can cross multiply here. I would get 200X equals 10,000. X is 10,000 over 200. And finally, there's our answer, 50 doses. All right, there you go. Not too bad. Sorry about the delay at getting started there. I had an email I had to check. But yeah, there you go. All right, let's do another one. And then, oops, I'll give you guys some time to practice this. And we might be able to move on today, actually. Move into the next section. This course is surprisingly short. Oh, actually, you guys are pretty quiet today, and I feel you. I'm like this morning. I was exceptionally tired, and I'm still trying to wake up. Does anybody have any questions about this? Really, guys, and if you do have questions, put them in the chat. You're good. Kalsum says you're good. I trust you. The only thing here is just don't forget step one. It's really important to make that conversion. You have to be dealing with the same units. And another thing I'll mention is I've had a student the other day in this course and the other course ask, where did you get this? Where did the 1,000 over 1 come from? This will be given to you. I will give you the method for changing units, okay? All right, so far so good. Thanks, Lorena. Thanks, Kalsum. Let's look at example number 8. Actually, give me a second. I just want to see. I want you guys to practice, but I don't. I want to see which. There's a lot of practice here, like a lot. Okay. Anyways, let me just Okay, they get a little bit more complex as we go along. Okay, so why don't you guys try this one then? Practice 2, we'll look at this in a minute, but why don't you guys just take a minute and try this one? I know it's early, but I'll give you guys a couple minutes to try this, and then we'll move into maybe some different types of practice problems. So try number 8, and I'll be right back, let's say 2, maybe 3 minutes. All right, oops, sorry, I just closed my chat. I got a private or a private message here that said 50 doses. That's the same answer as 7, and I think you're correct. It's again, it's 50. Let's try it out though. I haven't done it yet, so let's try it. What's going on with my pen here? Hold on. Let me get rid of this. Go back to red. Let's see what we get. So a bottle of medicine contains 250 milliliters. How many teaspoonful, what a weird word, but how many teaspoons are in the bottle? Oh, this one's, you actually don't need to use a crazy ratio for this one, or anything too crazy for this one. Let me just write something down, actually. I need to make like my own list of all these conversions. So a teaspoon, 1 teaspoon is 5 milliliters. 1 tablespoon is 15 milliliters. Sorry, I'm just, excuse me, writing that down for myself because I'm going to need to know how many milliliters are in this. 50 doses. Okay, cool. So, I mean, realistically, like the easiest way to do this, even like you don't even need ratios or anything like that to do this. You could just say, okay, well, one bottle is 250 milliliters. Remember that 1 teaspoon is 5 milliliters. So it's basically saying how many teaspoons are in 250 milliliters. So, you know, you guys don't need to show me workings if you don't want to. That's basically all you'd have to do is 250. Well, how many teaspoons are in that? Well, I divide it by 5. But realistically, I think what we're going to do is in one bottle of medicine, we know we have 250 milliliters. So the question is, you know, how many teaspoons will we have in 5 milliliters? So you can make up your little ratios here. 1/250 equals x over 5. So then I would get, I'm sorry, I might have that backwards. Hold on 1 second. I'm just used to doing it this way over here. X250. How many teaspoon doses are in a bottle? Sorry, just 1 second here. I don't know if I can use my rate. Did you guys use ratios for this one? Or did you just divide 250 by 5? Well, let me know in the chat. Yeah. Okay. So Reem, when you did your ratios, Lorena said you got 0.02, which is kind of what I did, but I don't think you can relate because these aren't the same. One bottle related to X. I don't think you can exactly use ratios for this. So what did you do, Reem? Again, for me, I think the easiest way to do this would be 250 milliliters. Okay, and I would multiply that by how 1 teaspoon over 5 milliliters, and I would get 50 teaspoons. Like for me, this is just a unit conversion. It's not actually a ratio question. I think this question is just again, a unit conversion. I don't think you need to think of this as a proportion type of question, right? So like if I'm saying you have, like, it doesn't even matter that there's a bottle. You have 250 milliliters of a medicine, okay? And I want you to convert that to teaspoons. Well, 1 teaspoon is 5 milliliters. So we have 50 teaspoons. I think that's all that this one is. Like if you look at number 7, we're comparing dose and dose. You see those words used 2 times? So dose and dose, I can compare them using a proportion. In this question, it's actually, to me, this is just a unit conversion. I'm going from milliliters to teaspoons. And I think I was thinking too much into this one because I think, yeah, it's just a unit conversion. A teaspoon is like a pint or something. So yeah, I think I thought too much about that one. I hope everybody's okay with that. It's just, I expected a different type of question after the session we were doing. But anyways, there you go. I've done most of these questions, but I kind of do them along with you. So sometimes I learn, or not that I learn, but we kind of teach each other sometimes. So this is, this for me is just unit conversion. All right. Everybody cool with that one? I think example number 8, again, is not a good example. Number 7 is a good example. I think 8 is, again, just straight up unit conversion. So I'm going to try number A for you. Okay, perfect. So let's look at number A, or letter A. Now, I want you guys to do a bit of practice today. I know it's early. I won't make you guys work too hard. But there are a couple of complex questions here as well. But let me just do A, and then I'll get you guys to try B and C. Okay, so, well, I guess I can zoom in. If the dose of a drug is 50 micrograms, ooh, okay, so one dose of a drug is 50 micrograms. That little symbol is called a mu. You might have done it in physics. It's typically the coefficient of friction. The next question is, how many doses are contained in 0.02 grams? This is more like what I thought the last question was going to be like, because I'm comparing doses with an amount, doses with an amount. The only challenge here is, the only problem here is these numbers need to be the same. So I can convert milligrams to grams. I can convert grams, or not micrograms to grams, grams to micrograms. As long as the numbers are the same, I'm okay. I'm going to convert grams to micrograms. Okay. Now, the conversion for that is way up. I think it's 10 to the 6. When I say way up, it's actually in chapter 1. So I think it's 10 to the 6 times. You could use your number line or whatever you want for that. Maybe I will open up chapter 6, because we haven't, or chapter 1, because we haven't really dealt with micrograms in a while. So let me just open up that little number line for you. Okay, actually, when I say open it up, I actually have it in the news. So I can just show you this. Aha, perfect. So let me just share my screen so you'll see what I'm doing. So remember this, guys, oh, sorry, I'm not drawing on my screen. So I'm here at grams. Sorry, guys, my emails are going crazy here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So to go from a gram to a microgram, it's 10 to the negative 6. I'm going to move, the 10 to the negative 6 grams is equal to 1 microgram. So I'm going to move my decimal place 6 places to the right to do this. So, oops, my writing is still there. I guess I can, I didn't mean to do that. Let me undo this and go back here. Sorry, go back to red. Like I can use the conversion factor, or I can move the decimal place. So first things first, I could just move the decimal place 6 places and I would get 20,000 micrograms. Okay, or you could use the unit conversion. You could multiply this by 0.02 grams times.
Sir,
Yep.
can you share your screen?
Oh, sorry. That might look confusing because I'm not sharing my screen. You should be able to see this now. Okay, do you guys see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. All right, sorry. So here I could either move my decimal places or I could multiply 0.2 grams by 1 microgram is 10 to the negative 6 grams. Whatever you want to do will give you. Oh, no, I keep putting an M there. My brain is saying micro, which is what it is, but it's a little mu. Okay, so whatever you guys want to do is okay with me for this conversion. You could move the decimal or you could use a unit conversion multiply. Remember, this is all back from unit 1. Okay, so let's solve the question. 1 dose is equal to 50 micrograms, and I'm trying to find out how many doses are in 20,000 micrograms. So 50x equals 20,000. X equals 20,000 over 50, and I'll get my answer. 400. All right, done. All right, let me check the chat. Okay, so Loa asked why 10 to the minus 6. This right here is, I think, from a table in chapter 1. The idea is, if I go back, let me make sure I'm sharing my screen again. So the question was, oops, sorry, not drawing. Why 10 to the minus 6? It's just a constant. It's a unit conversion factor that is from a table in chapter 1. But the idea is, like, this is 6 decimal places moved over. So 1 gram is equal to, 1 milligram is equal to 10 to the minus 6 grams. Not milli, microgram. Sorry, it's too early for me. So 1 microgram is equal to 10 to the minus 6 grams. You could also write this as 10 to the positive 6 micrograms equals 1 gram. You could do it just like that as well. So it kind of doesn't matter which way you do this, as long as these numbers are the same number. All right, so why don't you guys, I'll zoom out in case you don't have your notes printed. Why don't you guys try B and C, and then we'll move on. And we're going to do a couple harder questions today, and then that'll be it. So why don't you guys try B and C, and we will move on. Oh, and I should have mentioned, I'll give you guys a couple minutes for this, for B and C. So let's take maybe through 4 minutes, and then we'll check the answers. All right, take one more minute. There's actually something a little interesting about C there, but just take one more minute and we'll look at the answers. Okay, so at 9:40, we'll check out our answer. Okay, you guys are pretty quiet today. Nothing in the chat there. Anybody get any answers that they want to share in the chat? If not, it's no big deal. It's pretty early. You got 100 doses for question B. Okay, did anybody else get 100 doses? Now, I think, remember a tablespoon, if you're doing question B, a tablespoon is 15 milliliters. And for C, somebody got 5 milliliters. I don't think any of these are correct that I'm getting so far. So maybe we'll go through the answers. Yes. Okay. So I got 16.7 for B, or 17 or 16 doses for Lorena. That's correct. And somebody else just wrote me in a private message. So B should be 16 or 17. We'll talk about that in a minute. For C, I'm getting something different. I'm getting two teaspoonfuls, but I'll show you how this works in a minute. Okay, cool. Kalsum got the same. All right, let's check our answers. So if 2 tablespoons are prescribed as the dose, how many doses will be contained in 500 milliliters? So this is a pretty straightforward setup, is how many doses will be contained in 500? 2 tablespoons are prescribed as the dose. This is the only problem here, is to figure out what 1 dose is. Well, first things first, 2 tablespoons. Well, I want to figure out what that is in milliliters. Remember, we need to use the same units. So how many milliliters are in 2 tablespoons? Well, 1 tablespoon is 15 milliliters. I don't know why I'm writing out tablespoon, but anyways, 30 milliliters is our dose. Okay, you can see it right here. If 2 tablespoons are prescribed as the dose, well, that's 1 dose. How many milliliters is 1 dose? It's 30. So 1 dose is 30 milliliters. I'm trying to find out, sorry, didn't mean to put an X there. How many doses are in 500 milliliters? And that's it. I solved for X. So 30x equals 500. X is going to be 16.7. Now, this is really interesting, this part. Your mathematical brain is telling you that you want to round up to 17. But think about this in real life. you would actually only get 16 full doses. So the answer for this, and I don't really care, guys, I'm not really going to take, take off marks or anything, but you would get 16 full doses from this. You would run out of doses after 16 because it's only, it's only 16.7. You're not getting, like, to the people who, what I'm trying to say is, to the people who round it up to 17, that's fine. In the math world, the answer is 17, obviously. But think about real life. After 16 doses, you only have 0.7 left. So realistically, you could get 16 full doses out of this. But guys, if you were doing this on a test, 16.7 is fine. You could round it to 17. You could round it to whatever. Like, I'm not going to be too picky here. All right, cool. So let's look at C. Asma is asking, where did the 15 come from? Right here. 1 tablespoon is 15 milliliters. 1 teaspoon is 5 milliliters. This was right at the beginning of class, and you might have missed that. Okay, does that make sense? Yeah, no worries. If no problem. If you were late, you definitely missed this. These are household measures, common conversion factors. You guys probably have them in your kitchen right now. Tablespoons and teaspoons. All right. Oops, I went too far. All right. How many teaspoonfuls would be prescribed in each dose of an elixir if 180 milliliters contains 18 doses? Okay, so this is pretty straightforward starting off. First things first, I want to figure out, well, how many milliliters are in one dose? So to set this up, straightforward, one dose, I want to figure out how many milliliters are in one dose. And I know that 18 doses is 180 milliliters. Now, the reason I'm writing milliliters is because, remember, when I get this answer here, it will be in milliliters. How do I know it will be in milliliters? Because the other one is in milliliters. Okay, so let's solve this. And I'm still not done this question. But the idea is, when I solve for x, it's basically going to be 180 over 18, so 10 milliliters. I'm just solving for x, guys. I'm just trying to save a bit of time there. Obviously, I cross multiply. I'm just trying to save a bit of time. Hopefully, you guys know where that comes from. Okay, I'm not done the question, though, because the question says, how many teaspoons? Well, the last step for this one is 10 milliliters times 1 teaspoon over 5 milliliters, 2 teaspoons. TSP means teaspoon. So I could get 2 teaspoons out of 1 dose. Yeah, good job, guys. Thank you, Kalsum and Reem and everybody else. Cool. Okay. Let's do a couple more and then we'll finish for today. We'll be done by 10 o'clock, easy. There are some more complex problems, so maybe I'll do an example or two. Maybe you guys can do some practice here. Let me read the chat before I move on. I got a question here in the chat. It's a private message, so I won't mention much else, but it says, I did not understand this question. Is there anything I can do to help explain this one? I mean, this is the same as every other question here. The only difference is the question is asking for how many teaspoons would this be? So I converted my answer to teaspoons. If there's anything I can explain a little differently or better, like if there's a part of this question that you really don't understand, let me know. But it's the same as every other question, right? We're finding out how many milliliters are in one dose, that which is 10 milliliters. And then I'm trying to see how many tablespoons are in that. So yeah, let me know if there's any part of this that really didn't make any sense. The guys, and for everybody else, I'm responding to a private message. So just hang on for 1 second. All right, I'll let the student type it out, or what, you can interrupt me if you want to turn your mic on, or if you want to type something out, or if you want to ask me after class. But I haven't heard anything, so I will move on. For more complex problems, we can use a ratio and apply the same conversions we used in Unit 1. We've been doing this all along. I don't think this is any more complicated. If 1 tablespoon is prescribed as the dose, how many doses will be in 1 pint? Okay, so we've already been doing questions like this. So with this one, like the only problem with this one is we're dealing with 2 different volumes. So my first step is to get the volumes to be the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert 1 pint to milliliters. Excuse me. How many milliliters are in 1 pint? I think it's 473. This is straight from chapter 1, by the way. Let me just look that up. Yeah, 1 pint. This is from chapter 1. You do not need to memorize this, but 1 pint is 473 milliliters. So and I also know that 1 tablespoon is 15 milliliters. Okay, so sometimes you're going to have to convert the units to be the same thing. Remember, my ratios only work if I'm dealing with the same unit. So for this one, I had to change it into milliliters. Now I'm ready to go. So 1 dose is equal to 15 milliliters. Where did that come from? Well, 1 tablespoon is the dose. How many doses will be in 1 pint, which is 473 milliliters? So now I'm ready to solve this. I don't know why I picked blue, but anyways, what we end up getting is X would be 473 over 15, and you'll get your answer. 31 doses. Or 31.5. Okay, so speaking of that, let me just go back here. Boop, 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 boop. So your calculator might say 31.5. And again, in math, you might be tempted to say 32. In real life, you would say 31 doses. And again, I want to explain that is if you had, like if you, oh no, I shouldn't talk about food. I'm always tempted to go with food. But if you had like, I don't know how to like, if you had 31 and a half things, you only have 31 full things. So 31 and a half doses, you only have 31 full doses. An easy way to answer this is just keep it as a decimal. You have 31 and a half doses. That's perfect. But the real life answer is 31 doses. Okay, everybody good? Let's try another one. And then I'll get you guys to do some practice, and then Halas will finish for today. What page are we on? Okay, we're doing good. So, how many milliliters of a cough syrup would provide a patient with 10 milliliters twice a day for 5 days? Now, okay, this is a little tricky. This one we need to really think. We need to figure out what is the total dose? The big question here is, so how many milliliters of cough syrup would provide a patient with 10 milliliters twice a day? So one, yeah, okay, so one dose is equal to 10 milliliters. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. Every time you take this medicine, you're taking 10 milliliters. But the question is what is the total doses? Okay, this patient is taking 10 milliliters twice a day for 5 days. So 10 milliliters, and we're taking it 2 times per day. How am I going to write this? 2 times, 2 doses per 1 day, and we're taking it for 5 days. Okay, so 10 milliliters, we're taking it 2 times a day for 5 days. So we're taking 20 milliliters per day for 5 days. So it would be 10 times 2 times 5. This is total 100 milliliters is our total amount. Again, you kind of got to think about this logically. If you take 10 milliliters 2 times a day for 5 days, 10 times 2 times 5 is 100 milliliters. That's our total amount. So the question is, well, I guess that's really it, isn't it? This is like a little different question that we're done, really. 100 milliliters would provide enough cough syrup to give a patient 10 milliliters 2 times a day for 5 days. So this is, again, kind of like a unit conversion question, where we don't really need to worry about ratios here. We can just figure out, well, how many milliliters do we need if we take 20 milliliters a day for 5 days? All right. So why don't you guys take a bit of time to practice? It's 9:57, so we'll end pretty soon. There's a lot of practice here, guys, and we're not going to do all of them. But why don't you guys just maybe try questions? Oh, I don't know if you, well, let me try something else. I did this yesterday. Page display, 2-page view. It's not going to work. That's all right. Why don't you guys, this might work. Yeah, maybe. Why don't you guys try A, B, and if you can see it, C. So A, B, and C. I don't know if you guys can read that. I hope you can. A, B, and C. There's a question before, where did I get two doses? Sorry, just let me scroll up. Right here. This was a private message. Twice a day means 2. Oh, yeah, we already did A. You're correct. That's easy. Thank you for letting me know. So try B and C then. Did we do B? No. So try B and C. And guys, there's a lot of practice here. I highly recommend doing some of these practice problems tonight. But try B and C. Let's see if I can zoom in. Try B and C, and then that'll be it for today. All right, so I'll be back in a couple minutes. Sorry, like I have it zoomed out so much, but this is, I had to actually, hold up. Maybe I can make this look better. Let's try this. Yeah, there we go. So try B and C. I'll be back in, let's say, 3, 4 minutes. Okay, guys, just take one more, maybe 2 more minutes to do this. Just remember for question B, you want to go from or change grams to micrograms or micrograms to grams. What I'm going to do when you see me do it in maybe 2 minutes is I'm going to change grams to micrograms. If again, it's really important you know how to use this. If you don't have your notes open, you can always just put this in on Google for now. But because I'll give you the information on, say, like a test or something like that. But make sure you convert B to micrograms, and then I'll give you guys a couple minutes to try C, and then we will look at the answers, and then we are done. All right, I'm almost ready. I'm giving you extra time because question C is tricky. I'll put a little, that's him crying there. I should have did the tear in blue, I guess, hey, shouldn't I? So C is definitely tricky. So it'll be interesting to see if anybody got C. Paul or Reem, sorry, it's a private message, but Reem, I think you're correct with question C. That's amazing. 32, I think I'll check now when I do my answer. You're close. If I'll check. You either did it backwards or did it correctly. I'll have to do the actual answer, but you're very close. If not, yeah, asthma. I think I got 8. These are all private messages. I don't know why you guys are sending me private. I got 8, I think, for question C, but Reem, I think you're very close with the 128. It was just something was backwards. So I'm going to show you this in a minute. But yeah, well, let's do the answers. This is really good. Oops, sorry. Let me. I just closed the chat. There was one more. Yeah, Aisha says 8 drops. That's amazing. That's so good. Because we haven't really done one like C, but I've given you the powers to do something like C, which is interesting. Okay, so let's get B out of the way. B is pretty straightforward, and then we can look at C. And what I recommend is, practice these tonight or tomorrow. We'll do a few more, but after, like, I won't do all of these questions. There's a million of them. But after you guys practice this, like, look at how, oh man, there's so many. We'll start doing this. We might get into this tomorrow. Okay, but I do encourage you guys to practice using as much of this as possible. And we'll look at some harder ones tomorrow. Okay, but yeah, you guys want to practice this. All right, let me check the chat before I do B, because there's a lot of messages there. Lorena got 8, Reem got 8. A, okay, what's the answer for A? A, we already did A. I can't remember who mentioned it, but we've already done A above. So question B. If the dose of a drug is 50 micrograms, how many doses are in 20 grams? So the setup to this is really easy, and I'm going to write something wrong. Just hold on one second. I know that one dose is 50 micrograms, and the question is, oops, how many doses are in 20 grams? Okay, that's not right. Sorry, like what I mean is this doesn't work. I need to make sure I'm using the same units here. So what I'm going to do first, before I even get started, is I'm going to convert 20 grams to micrograms. You could go the other way as well, but I'm just going to go 20 grams to micrograms. Oops. Sorry, let me get rid of that. So back to red. 20 grams. I'm going to multiply this. You can move the decimal place using the number line, but I know that, well, there's 2 ways you could do this. I don't know which way. Well, there's actually 3 ways you could do this, but I know that 1 microgram is 10 to the minus 6 grams, which gives me 20 million micrograms. Or you could go 20 grams times 10 to the 6 micrograms is 1 gram. These mean the same right here. It's kind of whatever you want to do. Like, again, unit conversion. I shouldn't say it's up to you. Like the answer is we need to move the decimal place 6 to the right. But it's up to you how you want to do it. As long as your units cancel, you'll see we get the same results. Okay, so just make sure you're comfortable with unit conversion. Or the third way is, guys, you could just use your number line. Remember that line we used back in unit 1? Whatever you guys want to do. Just be comfortable with converting through some of these units. Okay, so I'm just going to get rid of this. Now that I know my micrograms, I can very, very easily solve this question. I'm just going to get rid of this here. Okay, first let me check the chat. Typically when the chat's going crazy. Okay, good. I got some answers for this. Kalsum got scientific notation. Asma got kind of a bigger number. Let's check this out. So now that I know this number, I can actually solve the question. So one dose, oh, sorry. Whoa, sorry about that. Scrolled down by accident. One dose is equal to 50 micrograms. How many doses are in 20 million micrograms? So X is going to be 20 million over 50, and you'll get your answer. Now, let me see what my calculator says. I know the answer, but I want to see if my calculator gives me scientific notation or not. So 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. So I end up getting 400,000 doses. Okay, if your calculator gave you scientific notation, it would look like this. 4 times 10 to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 to the 5. This is fine. You guys don't need to use scientific notation. So it would be 400,000 doses. All right. Any questions on that before I move on to C, the trickiest one? All right. Let's look at C. Now, C, really good question, very challenging. How many drops would be prescribed in each dose if 15 milliliters contain 60 doses? The dispensing dropper calibrates or basically drops 32 drops in 1 milliliter. This is really important to recognize that this means 32 drops would equal 1 milliliter. Okay, that's what, when you see 100 kilometers per hour, that means you would travel 100 kilometers in 1 hour. When you see 32 drops per milliliter, that means in 1 milliliter, there's 32 drops. So first things first, I want to figure out how many milliliters is in one dose. It says how many drops would be prescribed in each dose. Well, my first question is how many milliliters are in one dose? Okay, so I can use my same fractions I've been using this whole class, my same proportion. One dose is X. This is what I'm trying to find. And I know that in 60 doses, so my total doses, there is 15 milliliters. I've been using this ratio here all class, this proportion, I should say. So I want to find out how many milliliters are in one dose. That means X is going to be 15 over 60, which is 0.25 milliliters. Okay, so there is 0.25 milliliters in one dose. All right, what do I do next? Well, the next thing I need to do is figure out how many drops are in one of those doses. I'm trying to find out how many drops are in one dose. So part 1 is pretty normal. Part 2 is a unit conversion question. I know that there are 32 drops in 1 milliliter. And my question is, how many drops are in one dose? So I'm going to multiply this by 0.25 milliliters in one dose. And what happens is my milliliters cancel and I'm left with 8 drops per dose, which is what the question is asking for. This is a tricky one. This part one is pretty easy, right? How many milliliters are in one dose? We've been doing this ratio all day today. I keep saying ratio, I mean proportion. This one here is a little tricky because I'm telling you, I'm looking for drops per dose. So I know that there's 32 drops in 1 milliliter. I know that there's 25 drops in 25.25 milliliters in one dose. So the answer is 8 drops per dose. Pretty tricky. Oh, and see, Calcium, this is the best part. Kalsum just said in the chat, I did a different method but got the same answer. That's what's so cool about this. If like, this is just how I'm doing them. You guys can use other methods. If you look at the answer key for this chapter, you might notice different methods. So, I mean, that's fine. That's excellent. If you did something different and you got a different method, or sorry, got the same answer, that's perfect. Okay, guys, so that's it for me today. I got another class to get ready for. So what I recommend is tonight or tomorrow you do some more of these as practice. And I'll look at just a couple of these tomorrow. I won't do all of them, obviously, because it'd take us forever. This is meant for you guys to practice. But I'll look at a couple of these, especially some of the harder ones, like M tomorrow. And then we'll get into the dosage based on weight. So guys, that's it for me. Have a great day. Any questions, let me know. Other than that, have a good one. Thanks, Lorena. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Yes, you too. Thank you. Have a great day. Make sure you practice these. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you all later.